Let's count all of the squares and rectangles on this 5x5 grid, this countdown to Christmas. We're going to keep it really organized and start with the 1x1 squares. If we look at the ones that we've got across, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of those across. And as I count down, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. 5 times 5 is 25. Let's keep that running total up here. So we've got 25 so far. The next size, we're going to do the 1x2. So that's going to have a width of 1 and a length of 2. So as I count those across, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of those across. And then I've got 5 different rows that I can count 4 of those in, giving me a total of 20. Now I counted those as 1x2s, but we could also do 2x1s. With the 2x1s, I've got 4 of those going down, 5 across, which gives me another 20. Now we're going to have a lot of squares and rectangles that we're counting, so I'm going to keep this pretty organized in this table. I've got a printable down in my description below. Look for the link. You can print this out. It's also a great activity if you happen to be a teacher. So we've got so far the 1x1s and the 1x2s. In our count are those 1x1s. That was the 25. And we also have now counted the 1x2s and the 2x1s. So I've got 20 and 20 more. We're going to add 40 to that total, and we've got 65. Let's continue on with the rest of the rectangles that have either a width or a length of 1. Next up are our 1x3s. As I count these going across, I've got 1, 2, 3 of them across. Multiplying that by my 5 rows gives me 15 total. We're going to have exactly the same for the 3x1s. So 3 down, 5 columns to count for a total of 15. Back to our table now, we're going to add in those 1x3s, which are 15 and 15. 30 adds to our total, and we've got 95. The 1x4s are next. Now, hopefully, you are looking for patterns because we're not going to count all of these the long way. We're working our way towards a pattern. Okay, keep that in mind. With the 1x4s, I can only fit 2 of them in this first row. I've got 5 rows, so 2 times 5 gives me 10 of those. If I turn these on their side and they're instead 4x1s, I can count 2 of them down by 5 columns, and that gives me 10 more. In our table, let's go ahead and add those. So we're going to add 20 now to our total, giving us 115. Now I want you to pause for just a second. Look at what we've got in our table so far. What do you think we are going to find when we count the 1x5s and the 5x1s? Okay, do you have your guess? Let's count them up. Here comes the 1x5s. There's only one of them that I can fit in that first row. There are 5 rows, so I've got 5. Did you say 5? 5x1s, same story, right? Just one of them in that first column, 5 columns for 5 more. So if you said 5s for each of those, you are correct. Let's add 10 to that total, giving us 125. Now let's move on into our rectangles that have a 2 either for a width or for a length. I'm going to start with those 2x2s. So as I start to draw in those 2x2s, I can fit 4 across to start, but I can also only fit 4 down. So I've got 4x4 or 16. There's only one way I cannot rotate these sideways. They're the same. So I've got just 16. Let's add those into our grid. So I've got 16 right here. Adding that to my total, we've got 141. Next up, 2 by 3. So with the 2 by 3, we can fit 3 across, but we still can only fit 4 rows down since they have a width of 2, and that gives me 12. I can turn these 2 by 3s on their side. On their side, though, it gives me the same quantity, and for those 3 by 2s, I end up with another 12. So back to our grid, I'm going to replace those with 12s, adding 24 to our total for 165. Okay, again, I want you to think about our pattern. What pattern are we finding when we've got either a width or a length of 2? Next up are our 2 by 4s. Okay, so for those 2 by 4s, I can fit in just 2 as I work my way across. I can fit 4 of those going down, so we've got 8. And if I switch those to a 4 by 2, I again get that same number, 8. Back to our grid, I can replace those both with 8s, and I'm adding 16 now for 181. Take a really close look at the row and the column for the 2s. What number are we going to fill in for the 2 by 5s and the 5 by 2s? Let's see if you are correct. Okay, 2 by 5s. There's only one of those that I can fit across, and we've seen that we can only do 4 rows down now. So if you said 4, you got this right. And 5 by 2s, same thing, I've got another 4. So we end up with 4s there. I can add 8 to our running total for 189. Now the way that I've been doing this is a lot of work. So instead, I'm going to look for those patterns that I was having you look for. Let's find the patterns and use those as we add 3 to either a width or a length. Going back through, I want to first look back at the column and rows that had a 1 in it. I've got 25, 20, 15, 10, and 5. So these are all multiples of 5. If I move over to the column and the row that has a 2 in it, here they are. Notice that all of these are multiples of 4. So that means that when I move over into my column and row that includes that 3, we had multiples of 5, multiples of 4. These have got to be multiples of 3. So we're going to fill those in using multiples of 3. I've got 15, 12. If I'm counting down by 3s, I would have a 9, a 6, and a 3. Let's fill those into our remaining rows and columns. So that means that I'm really including now into my total 9 plus 6 plus 3 plus 6 plus 3. If you add those up, those are 27. Adding those to our running total, we've got 216. Next up, we have our row and column for the 4s. Take a look. Now we had multiples of 5, 4, 3, and sure enough, these are multiples of 2, which means 10, 8, 6. Counting down, we need a 4 and a 2 to finish off that column and row. Okay, so what did we really add in here? 4 plus 2 plus 2, that would be 8. 216, we're almost there, plus 8 is 224. We are only missing one rectangle. Do you know which one it is? It is that biggest 5 by 5, and we get a total of 225. Let me know if you've got another challenge for me. I've got another one for you.